in this 17th part, before we start discussing arrest of persons in detail, right from section 41 up to section 60 of the Criminal Procedure Code, the time for me to draw your attention to one more is important aspect of the Criminal Procedure Code. That is, one thing we have learned, that anybody can set criminal law into motion. But how one can set criminal law into motion entirely depends upon the nature of the offence. If it is cognizable offence, one can set criminal law into motion by following the procedure which is laid down as per subclause 1 of section 154 of the Criminal Procedure Code is concerned, dealing with FIR. And if it is non-cognizable offence, one has to follow the procedure which is laid down as far as subclause 1 of section 155 of the Criminal Procedure Code is concerned, namely he has to lodge a complaint with the magistrate. Yes, no doubt about it. Now the next question for our consideration would be whether every person who is aware regarding intention or regarding commission of an offence, whether he is bound by law to give this information to the police officer or to the nearest magistrate. And the answer is, such a person is, provided he is bound by law. And in order to understand this is the time for me to draw your attention to section 39 of the Criminal Procedure Code. And if you read section 39 of the Criminal Procedure Code, you come across 12 categories which are enumerated as far as section 39 is concerned. If you are aware regarding commission or intention to commit any one of the offences which are enumerated as far as section 39 of the Criminal Procedure Code is concerned, then naturally it is your duty, you are bound by law, it's your legal duty as compared to that of a moral duty. I hope you know the distinction between legal duty and moral duty. If somebody fails in his moral duty, the question of liability doesn't arise. But if some fails in his legal duty, then starts his liability. And hence, if you are aware regarding any one of the offences which are enumerated as per section 39 of the Criminal Procedure Code is concerned, then you must give information to the nearest magistrate or police officer. Otherwise, you are liable as far as section 176 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned, to be read with section 202 of the Indian Penal Code. If you know that Mr. Z has committed the offence of murder, and you go to the police station and say it is Mr. A who has committed the offence of murder, you are liable as far as section 177 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned. And the time for me to draw your attention to the chapter, namely right from section 172 up to section 190 of the Indian Penal Code, deals with contempt of lawful authority of a public servant. Now, once you go on, now this chapter is very important from the point of view of understanding different provisions of the Criminal Procedure Code. So, what offence is defined by section 176 of the Indian Penal Code, or section 177 of the Indian Penal Code, or section 202 of the Indian Penal Code can be understood by you, provided you read section 39 of the Criminal Procedure Code, where you are bound by law and your legal duty has been defined. Now, that is a question of enumeration. It is not at all necessary. I don't think you just go through the 12 categories which are enumerated, which will serve the purpose. I need not go on telling all the categories in detail over here, because it's a question of reading the section as far as the part of enumeration is concerned. With this now, if you are residing in a village, or you are concerned in the capacity of a village officer, then you are bound by law to give information regarding 6 categories which are enumerated as far as section 40 of the Criminal Procedure Code is concerned, to the magistrate or to the nearest officer in charge of a police station. This is your when you are residing in a city, you are not bound by law. But whenever you are residing in a village, you are bound by law. Otherwise, your liability is as per section 176 of the Indian Penal Code. Now, just go through those categories which are enumerated as per section 40 of the Criminal Procedure Code is concerned. Which deals with what? Which deals with what do you mean by legal duty? The liability is as per the provisions of the Indian Penal Code, but the legal duty, when you are bound by law, is required to be defined somewhere, and this is a section. Which are the sections at present to which I have referred to? Section 39 and section 40 are the sections that you have to read. With this now, whenever there is reasonable demand for your aid on the part of the magistrate or the police officer, you are bound by law. But when it may be your moral duty to help every time, but when it is your legal duty, for which you have to refer to three categories which are enumerated as far as section 37 is concerned. So whenever there is reasonable demand for anything as enumerated by section 37 of the Criminal Procedure Code, you are bound by law. Police officer or magistrate wanted to arrest somebody, and for the purpose of arrest he needs your aid. You are bound by law. In order to prevent or suppress the breach of the peace, if there is a reasonable demand on the part of the magistrate or the police officer, you are bound by law. In order to prevent the injury which is committed with respect to canal, telegraph or public property, you are bound by law. And when you are bound by law, and if that is not done by you, there starts your liability as far as section 187 of the Indian Penal Code is concerned. Now, you will realize, during first few parts of the lecture, I used to tell you that in order to understand Criminal Procedure Code, it is necessary that you have to refresh your memory as far as Indian Penal Code is concerned. So you can't learn Indian Penal Code during course of time. When we shall start working out or start with the procedure in the real sense of the term, you will come to know every now and then I shall be referring to the provisions of the Indian Evidence Act too. So simultaneously, before we start understanding the provisions of the Criminal Procedure Code, not in its word but in its spirit, this is the time for me to tell you that this is the time for you to refresh your memory. Be ready. Be ready with what? Be ready with Indian Penal Code. Understanding of the Indian Penal Code is concerned, reference to the Indian Penal Code is concerned, reference to the Indian Evidence Act is concerned, and then during course of time, you will understand also the importance of the constitutional law which I have told you in the past. With this now, during next part, we shall try to understand importance of arrest of persons right from section 41 up to section 60. Now before I stop for the next part, from now onwards, this is a time where some homework is required to be done on your part. And once you do homework and start listening to the lecture that is delivered by me, that can be done by you simultaneously also, for which I don't have any objection. But I personally feel that in order to understand the topic with which we are dealing, and as I had promised you in the past that I shall be telling you the topic with which we shall be dealing when we meet next time, if you read and be ready, it will be very easy for you to understand the same. Now, right from section 41 up to section 60 is the chapter which deals with arrest of persons. There, we will classify this chapter under different heads. 1. Who can arrest? That is one aspect. What is the procedure regarding arrest that is required to be followed? Yes, that is second aspect. And the third aspect with which we shall be dealing is what are the rights of the arrestee. And for that, there can be clubbing of the sections. I may point out sections, no doubt about it. But even if I don't point out the section, you have to read the section and club the sections in such a manner so that it becomes very easy for you to understand. So understanding of the criminal procedure code, if you are under impression that merely listening to the lectures that are delivered by me, I am merely going to give you guidelines. I will show you the direction. You want to understand criminal procedure code? You want to learn criminal procedure code? You want that your funda should be clear as far as criminal procedure code is concerned? There is something which is, this is give and take. If you are merely at the receiving end, no purpose is likely to be served. Here it is not possible for me to ask you questions because we are not meeting. And hence what you should do, you should imagine. You should, take it for granted that the sir may ask question and then you must be ready for the purpose of answering. Hence, which are the sections which deal with provisions regarding, what is the procedure regarding arrest? What do you mean by arrest? Is it defined anywhere in the criminal procedure code? If not, when you come to the conclusion that the person was arrested and who has got right to arrest? It's not only generally we are under impression that it is only the police officer. But then during course of time, if you remember in the past I had drawn your attention to section 44, where there can be arrest on the part, on whose part? There can be arrest on the part of the private person, there can be arrest on the part of the magistrate also. All these details with which we shall be dealing as far as next part of our series of lecture is concerned.